fantasy owners, and welcome to another edition of the Fantasy Sports News and World Report. I'm your host, Bryan Lyles, and we got a very interesting dynamic here. We're going to be discussing about the lovely 24-hour media. Yes, we got ESPN, we got all this sports talk radio, and it's just driving me insane. But anyway, with me today to discuss that, we have here, back again, is our Redskin historian, Michael Richman. Welcome back.
Hey, Brian. Thanks for having me on.
And back again is our fantasy sports girl here. It's Carol Watson. Welcome back.
Thank you, Brian.
All right. I love it. I hate it, but we'll see about this question. And let me share with you my little summer vacation. Early this summer, I had a great opportune chance to go to the Ravens headquarters, and I got to meet Coach Harbaugh. I got to see Joe Flacco, see Ray Rice, chewing out his players, saying that, all that stuff, and got to see Dante Stallworth in action. And the cool thing, reason why I went there is to see the Ravens pick Sergio Kendall. The reason why I went to go see him is the fact that I played a fantasy game, picking him to be the Ravens' #1 draft pick. And as a lot of you all heard, he ended up getting hurt by falling down some stairs. Now, granted, that was useful information for me. And at a very convenient time because, one, it wasn't training camp yet. Granted, it'll be the start of the season and all that stuff. So, but I'm glad he's well, and hopefully he'll come into the season when the time's right. But during the summer, I was hearing this, and last time you, Carol, were on, I mentioned this before. I was hearing about LeBron James and his potential move to now Miami. I was hearing about Ben Roethlisberger's potential trial that never happened because apparently someone lost some footage. I was hearing about Tiger Woods and his melodrama with his wife, if he's getting $750 million or just getting a dime. I was hearing a whole bunch of this crap that was not very useful for me as a fan, as a fantasy owner, as all this. And I was like, I'm asking you, granted as a fan, as a person who's part of the media, is the 24-hour media really helpful? And I'm going to start with you, Mike.
Well, as a member of the media, I can say, looking at everything, it does seem like an oversaturation, but that's the world we live in right now. This is the 21st century. There's print, there's internet, television, broadcasting, everything, and you just have to pick and choose, and you have to weigh things properly. You have to look at legitimate sources that you think are credible, and sources that you think are taking information from elsewhere and just using it for their own websites. So you just have to weigh things properly. In terms of the fantasy game, fantasy owners, they have to pick and choose, and they have. I think it's for the better, actually, to get more information, because then you can line everything up and pick the players that you feel are best.
Okay. Now, let me give another story that it's been just going crazy, and granted, I think it will be carrying over the entire season. And as a Redskin, not just a fan, but as also part of the Redskin history, I think this will be a chapter alone in your new book. The Albert Haynesworth saga, okay? It was bad enough last year with the ankle injury, the getting carted off, rolling over and trying to get an oxygen mask, which really was a hot dog or whatever. But it's just the fact that this whole crazy drama of him and Shanahan and just, the OTAs and him playing or not playing and all that stuff. Do you feel it's like, okay, it got to a point where it's like, okay, he did what he did, let's move on. But do you feel it's like it's something where the media keeps egging it on? Do you see that? I
do not agree with that. And that's not only because I'm a member of the media, but see, I am close to this literally and figuratively. And this means a lot to me, the fact that he is bucking the team and not living up to his obligations. The guy is guaranteed $41 million. He has a $100 million contract. Get on the field, get in the weight room, and practice like everybody else. I mean, I think enough is enough, not because of the media and not because of the questioning, but enough is enough with Haynesworth. He is not doing what he's supposed to be doing for the team. if the Redskins had 47 or 50 London Fletchers, I'd be wearing a Super Bowl ring right now.
Carol, let me ask you this. Do you feel that, again, like I said, during the summer, before the summer, that last episode we did, the LeBron situation, where he just took over. Now, do you think that, and not just him, also Tiger Woods, they took the media. Now, do you feel even that, where do you see that aspect?
Well, actually, I disagree with you on Tiger. The media took Tiger. They covered Tiger from the air, from the airport, from everywhere they could find him. They covered it. And I don't think that he wanted all of that coverage. When he did the press conference, that was overkill, especially since it looked like they could put up a White House sign in the background.
Yes.
It looks so staged.
Yes.
I thought that was overkill. And the fact that he thought it was necessary to, try to solve the media issue once and for all and have, one press conference, which didn't turn out to be one press conference. LeBron James taking over the ESPN and selling airtime, whether it was for, a worthy cause or not, that was overkill. It takes away from, normal common decency. If you're leaving a job, you write a note and you tell the people that you're leaving first. You don't, go and announce it, hey, I'm off to the next place and I'm, taking my talents to South Beach. And, your prior boss doesn't know because you don't want to burn bridges. And when you look at burning bridges, T.O. is the ultimate in burning bridges.
Okay.
Because aside from Chad Ochocinco standing up for him and saying, hey, we really got to have this guy. He still has skills. I want to play with him. He wouldn't have a team this year because everybody knows if you bring him into your organization, he's going to be a cancer. He's going to be on TV all the time. When they put the camera in front of his face, he's going to say something that's going to be explosive. And the same thing is happening with Haynesworth. Now, with Haynesworth, it's a little bit different because I don't know who's going to step up for him and say, we've got to have that guy. Because he has burned his bridges and they keep putting the microphone in his face and he never turns it down.
Well, let me ask you this whole aspect, and I think you all have been giving up great value points on this, is in this aspect, and especially during the football season, we get and it's you and I, we've been in fantasy leagues where we get, our players day to day. I'm like, what does that mean? Day to day. This is like, and then they talk about the injury and the overanalyzation and everything. Do you feel that, when football, you sort of like, okay, can we just get to Sunday and call it a day? I mean, do you feel that way?
It's a new normal. The new normal is that the report will go on and on. The highlights for ESPN, the show is 2 hours, it goes for the 2 hours, and if something happens, you see it on the little crawl down below. Well, an hour before the game, if they haven't talked about your player and you don't see your player's name down below, and then you go online and you don't see them in the injury report, then you have an opportunity to play them or not. And, based on what you've seen, Friday's practice, if they practice, Saturday, if they did the walkthrough, and then Sunday, a few hours before the game, if you hear about your player, then you know whether to put them in or not. So I think it's helpful. It's overkill if you sit there and you watch it all day.
Right.
But, like my new favorite channel is the NFL channel.
Right.
And not only do I get to see all the games that I missed on Sunday because I don't have DirecTV anymore, but I get to see, what's going on in the different teams and in the news report. So I like it.
I agree with that. I think that fans want to see injury reports and other news throughout the week, so whether you have to adjust your lineup come Sunday. I mean, you want that type of information, and also injuries are such a fact of life in the NFL that there could be so many changes during the course of a practice week. So that's the type of information you need to be constantly fed. There are other types of information. I think I know the point that you're getting at in terms of sensationalism. And I think there is too much of that, but some players provoke that themselves, such as Albert Haynesworth, as Carol mentioned earlier. He is making these inflammatory remarks, and the media are just feeding on it. It's like after one of the recent Redskins preseason games against the Ravens, it was a feeding frenzy. I mean, he was knocking the team, and that is tremendous fodder if you're a media person.
All right. Well, I just wanted to clear it up. I mean, it's okay to listen to sports talk radio. It's okay to watch whichever sports channel you're watching, but sometimes I just wish just give me what I want. Just give me, if my guy's okay. I don't need all this craziness, and I don't want to hear it every day for a week until something new happens, and they'll talk about something new every week. But I thank you for trying to clear it up for me. But anyway, we'll have more with Mike and Carol when we come back with our Pick'em games. So we'll see you in the second half.
Hi, I'm Fantasy Sports World Girl Cortland. Stay tuned for more fantasy sports news and World Report.
It's the happy birthday song. Love Dad and love Mom. It's your birthday. Now that's the bomb. Your birthday and living strong. It's the happy birthday song. It's the happy birthday song. It's the happy birthday.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent, because kids in foster care don't need perfection. They need you.
I don't care how great an actor you are. I don't care how great a director you are. No writing, you've got nothing.
I like Puerto Rican girls, but I'm not dating one. But there's a reason why I'm not dating one, because they're all crazy.
I shoot from the hip. That's why I'm John Hex.
We're bringing the mutants back. Yay! Here's some more money to throw down the road.
These guys have given us so much, and I just feel like it's appropriate to give back.
Hello.
Danger
Baggery.
of the...
You fitted that boot in your whole mouth.
You can't stop me.
Sports World Girl Michelle, and welcome back to the second half of the Fantasy Sports News and World Report.
And welcome back to our Fantasy Sports News and World Report. I'm your host, Bryan Lyles, and again with me today is Carol Watson, our lovely fantasy sports girl here, and the host of Burgundy and Gold magazine, Mr. Mike Richman. So actually, briefly tell me about your show, Burgundy and Gold.
Burgundy and Gold magazine is a look at the present and past of the Washington Redskins. I've had panel discussions with members of the media, Redskins greats like Brian Mitchell and Dexter Manley, talking about the Redskins' recent offseason activities. I've invited Redskin greats for one-on-one talks like Neil Okowitz, and I've had a gentleman named Yuli Campbell, that ultimate Redskins fan. He has been part of my panel discussions. So it's all encompassing. It's the present and past of the Redskins.
All right, so mark your calendars and check your local listings. It'll be on this channel. So kudos for you. Now we're getting to our October games, and we're leading into November. So this will be kind of interesting. A lot of these teams have finally got their fill of the first month. Now they're getting their fill of the second month, which is a little interesting because it's leading into their bye weeks and things of that nature. And the first game we'd like to talk about is the Battle of the Bottoms.
The Futility Bowl?
Yeah, the Futility Bowl, or whatever you want to call it, or maybe it's the future, because he's featuring two young quarterbacks, the St. Louis Rams and the Detroit Lions. Mike, you've known the Lions very well because basically thanks to the Skins, it gave them back their first win in over years last year. So where do you see this aspect of these two teams?
We're looking at 2-14 teams from last season, correct?
Correct.
I'm going to take the Rams.
Oh.
Even Steve Spagnuolo, I think he was a really good coach with the Giants. I think that he's going to transform the Rams franchise into a respectable team. They're going to be pretty good. Sam Bradford, so brand new quarterback, high hopes for him. I'm going to take the Rams.
Okay. Carol, who do you think?
I'm going to go with the Lions.
Oh.
I'm going to go with the Lions because even though they got their first win against the Redskins last year, they have a credible team now. You know, Calvin Johnson is pretty good, and Matthew Stafford, you know, I'm liking them. You know, a little bit more seasoning, you know, they're doing well. The Rams, too much in flux. You know, their new ownership, new, you know, players, Bolger just retiring. I mean, not retiring.
He went to the Ravens.
He went to the Ravens.
Yeah. In a way, it's kind of like a retirement.
He did, because he's like back up.
Yeah.
But anyway.
It's a pretty good backup to have, though, although he has had some mediocre seasons recently.
Right.
But either way, too much in decline, and the Lions too much on the uprise. So I'm going to go with the Lions.
Okay. I'm in agreement with Detroit. Same aspects. I think that how low can you go when you go 0-16? How can you? The only thing is left is you got to look up, and that's where they're going. The Rams, even though they have a premier quarterback in Steven Jackson, I just think that his time is needed. He needs to go. I feel like I'm surprised he hasn't demanded to leave. I'm surprised that he lost Torrey Holt. There's Isaac Bruce retired. Mark Bolger has left. I mean, I just don't see a true usefulness for an all-pro running back like him and still be with a team that's pretty much going nowhere. So I agree with you with the Detroit Lions. This game, I put it on because of one aspect. It's a rematch, and it's something that the Patriots have to think about because we beat them and beat them bad. Ravens and Patriots. Carol, I'm going to begin with you.
Okay. I'm going to go with the Ravens.
Okay.
And I'm going to go with the Ravens for the same reasons that I went with the Lions. The Ravens are a team on the upswing. The Patriots are a team on the decline. And that's it.
Very simple answers. That's all we need. Very simple. Mike, how do you see this game?
Well, number one, I wouldn't necessarily say the Patriots are a team in decline. Tom Brady, I think, is still a really good quarterback, and even though the Patriots had a mediocre season last year, I think they can bounce back. Now, with that said, I'm going to take the Ravens. I saw them against the Redskins in the preseason game. When you have guys like Terrell Suggs and Ray Lewis, they're still both very, very formidable on defense. Joe Flacco is a really good quarterback. We talked about the receiving core in your previous show. So I think that they have weapons on both sides of the ball.
And then don't forget Ray Rice.
Of course not.
Ray Rice, of course.
Yes. I mean, clean sweep with Baltimore. I'm thinking of like a balance between both aspects. I do think New England's on decline. I think Tom Brady hasn't been the same since his injured leg. Wes Welker, he's coming back from pretty much the same injury, and they valued his speed and his agility. That's why he got like 100 receptions during that year that Tom Brady had the 50 TDs. And I just viewed it as like if he's lost a step, and Brady, he's slightly losing a step. And of course, the real key factor for New England has been their defense. I mean, pretty much that defense has been the same since their last Super Bowl win, and it's just getting aged. You can see the rust in a sense.
You can see the rust, and they can't use that video trick.
Yeah, right. That's right. So and I think that granted, having Randy Moss has been a very key factor for this team's success, but I just think that it's not enough. I think they really got to think about a youth movement, and you can still have Tom Brady, but it's just that you got to really think about the future, and I don't think they're thinking about that right now. So I will say again, like I said, the Ravens. This game I put on because of this aspect. Julius Peppers will be facing his former team for the first time since leaving. The Bears and Panthers. Who do you see winning that one?
I'm going to take the Panthers. I think D'Angelo Williams is, one of the best in the league, the running back. Also, getting back to Jay Cutler, you don't know what you're going to get from this guy. He's so erratic. He can win games for you, and he could lose games with his reckless passing. Now, in terms of Julius Peppers, we will see how he does going to another team as a free agent. He has been in the league for, a decade? So close to a decade. So we'll see how effective he can be.
Okay. Carol, you see?
I'm going to go with the Panthers. And the reason, Cutler. Because, first off, the Bears defense is not that stout right now. And then they don't have offense to offset that either. And then Cutler will throw interceptions for you. And I didn't like that trade last year, and I still don't like it.
Let me also mention they were both 500 teams basically last year, so it was actually a very difficult game to pick. But Cutler, I know, made me lean toward the Panthers.
Well, let me put my pick. My pick, I'm going for the Bears because of this aspect. What you're saying is what I'm seeing in the Panthers. Because, one, Jake Delhomme's gone.
Yeah.
Granted, and the defense is kind of in a flux. It's not as dominant in the last few years. Their receiving corps is not elite anymore.
Steve Smith is still solid.
He's still solid. I mean,
and D'Angelo is still solid.
You only got two, but here's the thing: you don't have anyone offsetting that, and the Bears kind of do. Devin Hester, I still feel he's a threat. Jay Cutler is like it's sort of like, okay, which Jay Cutler we're going to get this week? I can understand that, but at least the Bears are still in a visual aspect of what their identity is. The Panthers are not. I mean, like I said, a new quarterback. Coach Fox you can kind of, when I saw the Ravens and Panthers preseason game, I kind of got the visual sense of, all right, I know this is going to be a bad year, and we'll see what we can do from there. For the Bears, it's sort of like, okay, Lovie Smith, granted, I know he's going to be on the hot seat, but it's just, for me, I feel that at least this team, this team is familiar with themselves. It's just another year with Jay Cutler. They'll understand him a little bit more. At least he's not Rex Grossman. He was more erratic than Jay Cutler was, if you think so. And Kyle Orton, too.
But here we go. Cutler will talk about it in the press. And it's
okay.
So that will destroy the team more than him playing on the field.
Yeah.
I also want to say, watch out for one player, Panthers quarterback Matt Moore.
Right.
He started the last 5 games last season for Jake Delhomme, and he did really well.
He did well.
He posted excellent statistics, and he's projected to be their starter this year, even with Clausen there.
Right. All right. Well, speaking of Cutler, basically his former teammate also did some minor, bitchiness of trying to leave out of Denver. What's wrong with Denver? I mean, I got family there. I mean,
it's cold.
It's not going. Shoot, he just couldn't deal with the height. Anyway, I feel that Brandon Marshall. Now, this is in a way a battle of the receivers. Brandon Marshall going to Miami against T.O. Cinco.
I call it the mouth almighty game.
That'll work. That will work. And I'll start with you. Who do you see winning between Cincy and Miami?
Ooh, that's going to be a high-powered game right there. I'm going to go with the Bengals. And I'm going to go with the Bengals because they have 2 receivers. And
just 2 receivers. That's all you need is just 2 receivers.
Well, they have 2 receivers that, and you can't key in on one of them, because with the Dolphins, they can probably tee off on Brandon Marshall. But with the Bengals, they have the 2 receivers. They have a good tight end. They have a running back that is, high-powered. So there are too many variables. And then Carson Palmer is a good passer. So, I think the Bengals have that one.
Mike, quickly. I'm going to go with the Bengals. I really like Carson Palmer. And he has the 2 receiving threats. So, now I also like Tony Sparano, the Dolphins coach. And I think the Dolphins are going to do better than they did last year. But this particular game, I think the Bengals will take it because of that explosiveness on offense.
Okay. I'm going to view this like this. One, you forgot one aspect the Dolphins have. Wildcat. Okay. But granted, a lot of people have seen it.
Okay,
I understand it. A lot of people have seen it, but I just viewed it as it's still their hot, option to go to. I think the Dolphins quarterback he's young. It's innovative. I think Brandon Marshall is the type of receiver that you need. The defense is also coming along. Bengals, it's a downer. I don't know. It's so confusing. It's like, okay, you expect them to be really a dominant defense, but somehow it lets them down.
They've turned into an offensive team.
Yes, they pretty much.
Somehow or another, even though Marvin Lewis is a defensive coach,
right?
They turned into an offensive team.
Right. So I'm going to put in this aspect. I see a tie. Granted,
wait, no.
When was the last tie in the NFL?
Last time was last year, but
let's get off that fence. Which one?
This is my show. I can pick whoever I want. Anyway, I'm going to leave it as a tie, and that's how I'm going to leave the show as a tie. We're tying this up. So, Michael, thank you for being on the show.
Thanks, Brian.
And Carol, thank you.
Thank you.
Actually, I will probably see you again for basketball season. So, all right. And I'd like to thank you for watching Fantasy Sports News and World Report. Granted, our Fantasy Sports World girl is Miss Erica Michon. You can check her out on her Model Mayhem and Facebook pages. Also, I'd like to say this. A shout out to my security guard, Linwood. Peace, man. Enjoy your retirement. My time is out. See you next time.